passing the cookies down. Yeah, but I'm not the only one supposed to eat those. All right. Now I gotta find a box.
Places? Yep. Places?
Places.
Yep.
It's about time.
Lady of the pack here.
It's 8:01. Yeah, that clock is off about a minute. They've always told me you don't go by that clock. Go by the computer.
All right, boss. You determine my salary, so whatever.
I gotta crank down so I can talk.
You're getting better.
I got 6 more weeks. 12 weeks total. And they'll evaluate whether they think they should do surgery. They're not doing surgery. I'll tell you that right now.
This is scary.
It'll be.
I'll probably grab mine at the end. I always think it's weird talking in the microphone.
Just kind of choke a little bit.
Yeah, right. I always grab a water in case I start hacking it. Okay. All right.
Looks like plaid shirts rule the day up here. The plaid shirts rule the day. Well, man, somebody didn't get the memo. I don't know.
All right, good evening, everyone. I'll call this meeting to order. And just a reminder that the meeting is being recorded and broadcast on TV, so that way everything we're saying and all that is going to be recorded tonight. All right, so with that, we'll start out with the agenda here. So we called it to order, and we're going to take a look at last time's meeting minutes from September 3rd. So as for those,
Move approval?
thank you, Mr. Bartley, approval. And do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Spence, second. Okay. Motion carried. And item number 3 on the agenda, items to be added to the agenda by commission members or staff. So anything that we need tonight?
Nothing additional other than what's maybe covered in the director's report, ma'am.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. And then on to agenda item number 4, invitation for citizen to schedule a time on the commission agenda for an item not listed. Time is limited to 5 minutes per person to address the board. So with that, anyone in the audience that wants to speak on anything other than what's listed in the agenda tonight? All right, hearing none. On to agenda item number 5, disclosure from the board, conflicts of interest or any relationships to any applicant, ex parte communication, anything like that. Not seeing anything. Okay. So then agenda item number 6, approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Kleinjohn, and a second.
Second.
Okay, so Mr. McHugh, we'll use you. Yes. All right, so on to the Brookings County Planning and Zoning Commission. And so I was reading an introduction for us. I will now call this meeting to order. I would like to welcome those in attendance at tonight's meeting. The Brookings County Planning Commission is a 9-member commission whose function is to recommend approval or disapproval of land use plans, zoning ordinances, subdivision plats, and amendments thereof to the Brookings County Commission. The commission makes its recommendation based upon the adopted comprehensive plan for the physical development of the unincorporated areas of Brookings County. As a matter of policy, all motions are made in the positive. As a motion is moved and seconded, it is open for debate. Those supporting the motion shall in turn give their reasons. Those opposing the motion shall then offer their reasons. After everyone has been given a chance to be heard, the commission shall recommend approval or disapproval based on the testimony and information presented. A simple majority vote of the quorum of members of the Planning and Zoning Board in attendance is required to forward a recommendation. All right, and so now we'll move to the first agenda item, or item number 7, I guess, for consideration of the plats tonight. Agenda item 7A. So we have 2019 Plat 16, plat of Block 1, the Truan Addition in Government Lot 8, and the east half of the northeast quarter of Section 12, Township 112 North, Range 48 west of the 5th Prime Meridian, Brookings County, South Dakota. All right, and then Richard, may we hear your staff report? Oh, thank you. Do we have a motion for that?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. And a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Bartley. Okay, and then, yeah, Richard, please let us know on that.
Yes, Plat 2019, Plat 011, Troyan Land Company is platting off 56.57 acres of an existing building site and farm ground from the 132.88 acres that they own. The farmstead will use the existing driveway located off 484th Avenue to access the property. And the property is being platted due to the irregular shape boundaries on there. And it meets the comprehensive plan, 2016 comprehensive plan for the agricultural land use. Get the right report here. Here is the plat right here showing the boundaries. This is Oak Lake right here, 484th Avenue off to the east side. This is a plat overlaid on top of the beacon map. It shows the farm ground and pasture right here, going along the quarter section line right here, following up along the pasture right here. To the north is farm ground that they also own and is being platted off for sale to a family member. The original owner, Trigby Troyan, passed away a few years ago, and this is part of his estate that they're ongoing and getting things cleared up on. So existing building site and balance of the grass. Land is grassland and pasture right here. There's just the whole 133 acres that it's in right now. You can see right here where the grassland is, that will be the dividing line of the plat. So, and that's all that I have.
All right. We'll open this up for discussion from the board. Any comments or questions amongst ourselves? Okay. Next, we'll open it up to the public. Any proponents or opponents? And is the applicant here tonight, I guess?
No, the applicant is not here this evening.
Okay. All right, we'll close the public hearing. Back to the board. Pretty straightforward on this one, I think, but okay. All righty. Richard, please call for a vote.
Bartley.
Aye.
McHugh. Aye. Davis.
Aye.
Nelson.
Aye.
Kleinjohn.
Aye.
Erickson.
Aye.
Spence.
Aye.
Jensen.
Yes.
Andy Lankiewicz.
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right. Okay, moving on to the agenda item number 7B. First off, let's see. Okay, so this is agenda item number 7B, 2019, Plat 017, plat of lots 8, 9, 10, and 11, and Cedar Point Circle right-of-way, all in the Cedar Point addition in Government Lot 3 of the northwest quarter of Section 28, Township 109, North Range 50 west of the 5th Prime Meridian, Brookings County, South Dakota. So with that, do I have a motion and a second on this one?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jensen.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Erickson. And Richard, when you're ready, staff report, please.
Yes, plat number 2019, plat 017. Keith Rounds is planning off lots 8, 9, 10, and 11 in Cedar Point Circle right-of-way located on the northwest side of Lake Campbell. The preliminary plat was approved by the board on June 2nd, 2009, which I had included in this report. The land was sold and Mr. Rounds is proceeding with the development as planned with minor adjustments. 3 lots were added to the west and a drainage area green space were also designated on the west side. The circle turnaround radius was increased to 64 feet for the fire truck access, and the main entrance width was also increased. The lots will be platted off as they were sold. Lot 8 contains 21,503 square feet. Lot 9, 21,879 square feet. Lot 10, 51,678 square feet. And Lot 11, 44,549 square feet. As you can see, all the lots exceed our 20,000 square foot requirement for the Lake Park District. And application plans have been submitted to the Historical, Corps of Engineers, and the Game Fish and Parks for review and approval. And they're waiting on for those to be returned at this time. And the plat meets our county subdivision ordinance and the Lake Park requirements. There's the plat coming up the existing road, Lakeshore Drive. This is the entrance that was widened, and the Cedar Point Road, that is dedicated private road right there. This is the existing cul-de-sac turnaround that was increased from, I believe, 50 feet to 64 feet in diameter right there. And these are the two lots right here that were added on the west side. And this is the drainage area and the hashed mark right here. Easements along the front of the property line for water, utilities, power, and anything else that may go along in that area. This is a plat overlay on the beacon map. It's kind of showing the land area here. This is a preliminary plat that was approved in 2009. Lots are the same here. They've added lots coming down here. Minor adjustment here on the driveway. The private road and the cul-de-sac was increased. Road width is the same. And there's 2 lots. The drainage easement area right here, green space, and the other lot right over here. This is just the overhead beacon map showing the whole parcel the way it is. And also the red shaded area, the red area is also the floodplain area. So they would have to be beyond back, which they will be beyond back farther that with any building that will be done. So no variances would be required for that. This just shows the land area as it is today along the shoreline and around here. And that's all that I have.
Alrighty. Thank you, Richard. And then we'll open it up for discussion from the board. Anything we want to look at first or talk about? Okay. Not hearing any. We'll open it up to the public. And I I believe we do have Mr. Rounds here tonight. But do we have the person here tonight? Anything you want to say tonight? No? Okay. Alrighty. So from the public, no proponents or opponents.
Madam Chair, could I just make a quick
Please do,
point?
yeah.
Luke Muller, First District Association of Governments, and I just it looks like with the work that he's done to make this so that it can work for the fire department, I know it gets a little bit tight with the size of that, and I think the staff probably already relayed to the applicant here, but what this does is it leaves a buildable with 75-foot setback from the lake, 25 from the road, 8 from each side, leaves them with a buildable footprint on lots 8 and 9, somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 by 59, which is something you can get a house on, but it's just kind of, I know in your practice you don't like to make a lot that you're going to be granting a variance on, and it looks like there's an area to build on if they do it. So, and then the lot 11 looks like it's going to kind of push the any building toward the southeast, but again, I think that's probably makes sense too. But I just kind of wanted to eyes wide open on what that lot size does to it is all.
Kind of more referencing the buildings, it sounds like, potential buildings. Okay. Alrighty. Anything else from the audience? Okay. So we'll close the public hearing and back to the board. Any discussion on some of the items that were said?
Keith, it looks like you're going to go ahead and just plat the lots as you sell the lots. Is that noted somewhere in the report that that's what you intend to do? You had the preliminary, but as you sell these lots and move down to the, I guess would be the east, you'll plat those additional lots later. Okay.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion with the board? All right. Richard, please call vote.
McHugh.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Nelson.
Aye.
Kleinjohn.
Aye.
Spence.
Aye.
Erickson.
Aye.
Jensen.
Yes.
Bartley.
Aye.
And Ylankovich.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Alrighty. Moving on here to agenda item number 7C, 2019, Plat 018, Plat of Lot 13 in Block 1 in Paradise Point Addition and Government Lot 2, Section 22, Township 112 North, Range 47 west of the 5th Prime Meridian, Brookings County, South Dakota. And thank you, Mr. Bartley. We have an approval, and we have a second. Second by Mr. McEwen.
McHugh.
Thank you, Mr. McHugh, I'm sorry. Mr. McHugh. Alrighty. And Richard, your staff report, please, on this one.
Yes, plat number 2019, plat 018, Lake Dreams is platting off lot 13 in Paradise Point, located on the east side of Lake Hendricks, and it's right along the South Dakota-Minnesota state line. The preliminary plat for Paradise Point was approved by this board on August 7th, 2007, which was included in the report, and they've been platting the lots as they have been sold. Lot 13 contains 25,176 square feet, exceeding our 20,000 square foot lot requirement for the Lake Park District. And plat meets our county subdivision ordinance requirements and the Lake Park requirements. There's lot 13 right here towards right towards the north end of the development here. The other lots have been platting this year as we've gone along. I think we've done 2 or 3 of them this summer or this year already, so. Shows lot 13 again. This is a plat on the beacon overlay. The red area is lot 13. And just the beacon map with the showing the area right here will be right in this part. And that's all that I have.
Alrighty. Now we'll open this item up for discussion from the board. Anything we kind of want to discuss on this one? Looks pretty straightforward. And then we'll open it up to the public. Anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this? Not hearing any. Close the public hearing. And back to the board. Any discussion on this one? A lot of plats tonight, huh? All right, Richard, please call for a vote.
Davis,
Aye.
Nelson,
Aye.
Kleinjohn,
Aye.
Spence,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Jensen,
Yes.
Bartley,
Aye.
McHugh,
Aye.
and Delanquich.
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right. So next part of the meeting, we will be acting as the Brookings County Board of Adjustment. So the Board of Adjustment is a 9-member board which has the power to hear requests for variances, conditional uses, appeals, and special exceptions. The concurring vote of 2/3 of the attending members is necessary for approval of any action by the board. A 9-member board requires 6 votes, and a 6-member board requires 6 votes. In accordance with Robert's Rules of Order, we require a motion to approve a request before the request can be debated. As a matter of policy, all motions are made in the positive. The board, under specific powers granted it by the state, shall authorize variances from the zoning requirements where special conditions existing on the land will result in unnecessary hardship for the applicant. Financial disadvantage to the property owner shall not constitute proof of unnecessary hardship. Alrighty. And so moving on to agenda item number 8. This is 2019 variance 011. Don Cleland has made an application 2019 variance 011 to the Brookings County Board of Adjustment for a variance. Article 4, District Requirements, Chapter 4.03, LP, Lake Park District, Section 4.03.03, Density, Area, and Yard Regulation, Minimum Lakefront. The property is described as Lot 49A of the first edition of Lake Ponset Heights subdivision in Lot 2, Section 5, Township 112 North, Range 52 West in the Laketon Township, located at 114 South Lake Drive in Arlington, South Dakota, 57212. All right, so as for this agenda item, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you by Mr. Nelson, and a second.
Second.
By Mr. Spence, thank you. All right, and Richard, your staff report, please.
Yes, variance 2019, variance 011. Don Cleland has applied for variance to build a 28 by 28 residence with a 28-foot wide by 17-foot 6 long covered deck. The outer post of the deck is 28 feet from the highest known watermark, a variance of 47 feet. The lakefront setbacks are 75 feet from the highest known watermark. proposed residence will meet the road and side setbacks, the road setback of 25 feet and the side setback of 8 feet. The existing residence has been removed as it was no longer structurally sound, and the foundation wall of the proposed residence will be 42 feet from the highest known watermark. The proposed residence will be located farther back and higher in elevation than the previous residence, and the proposed building plans and elevations were included in this report. The proposed residence will not block the shoreline view up or down the shoreline on either side of the adjoining landowners. It will be right in line or just a little set back just a little bit farther. Some things to consider are the shape and the size of the lot when it was first platted. First edition of Lake Ponset Heights subdivision in Lot 2 was originally platted on September 1st, 1922, and was replatted on August 2019 out to the ordinary high water mark. And the Brookings County Comprehensive Plan Future Development Land Use for Lakes found on page 58, it's likely that the established development of areas of Lake Campbell, Lake Hendricks, Lake Titankaha, and Lake Ponset will experience continued development in varying degrees, while the non-lakefront growth potentially exists for all of the able lakes. Significant lakefront area is appropriately zoned and the subdivide in some cases adjacent to the lakes. And letters were sent to the adjoining landowners, the Laketon Township Chairman and Clerk. Public notices were published in the Brookings Register on September 17th and 24th, 2019, and the Arlington Sun on September 19th and 26th, 2019. Just a copy of the variance application. Site plan. Area would be 12 feet from the side, the east property line, and 20 feet from the west. The post will be, this was when he filled it out, this is before we did an accurate measurement to the high water mark. That should be 28 feet there to the high water mark. Just looking at the elevation from the road. This is the west side. Which would be east. The west side. This is the east side. This would be looking at it from the lakefront. This is the covered deck right here. This is the support post. That would be 28 feet from the water. And this is the red area is the floodplain. This is where the existing structure was and has been removed on there, so we'll be right back. The edge of the structure will be approximately right in this area right here, and then proceed back towards the back of the lot. This is looking towards the east down the road. This is some rocks that they have hauled in to do some shoreline modification work on that they probably have completed about now. This is looking towards the east. This is the 25-foot setback from the road, from the edge of the road. It's kind of a curve right in here, so it'll be pretty close to where this is, the other houses. This is looking towards the west at the 25-foot setback. It'll be just on the other side of this retaining wall that they have right here. This is looking back towards the east. The wheel is at where the edge of the house would be right here, which would be 42 feet from the high water mark. This is looking towards the east again. This is where the support post would be for the covered deck, which is 28 feet from the highest known water mark. This was the existing slab or foundation for the old cabin that was there. This is looking at that 28-foot looking towards the west, and it will be farther back than the existing residences on either side. This is looking from the lake shore back towards the road. You can see the noticeable elevation difference gets higher as you go back. This is the east side. This is the stakes right in here is the east property, or the east edge of the building and house and proposed deck right here. And this is the west side as it goes up. This is the west side of the deck and the house as it proceeds back towards the road. And that's all that I have at this time.
Alrighty, thank you, Richard. So we'll have the applicant come forward to address the board tonight. And then please just state your name and a little bit about your request.
Right here?
Yeah, yep.
Well, I'm Don Cleland, and we've had this place for 20 years, and this is the third time the water got to us, so it had to come down, and we're wanting to build a new one back up the hill.
All right. We'll open it up for discussion from the board. Anything amongst ourselves first? Okay. And then we'll open it up for the public, proponents and opponents. Do we have anyone else that wants to speak on this? Okay. And then we'll close the public hearing, and then back to the board. So any discussion we have or questions for the applicant?
So how far up did the water get to where your proposed,
How close will it get to that, or has it been?
yeah, to where your support post is for your deck?
Well, it's right where it is now is the highest I've ever seen it, and that's, what, 20-some feet away? I think it was, Richard. But the elevation will be roughly 8 feet higher than the original one was.
Will the support for the deck be made out of concrete or what material?
Wood.
Yeah, so, yeah, 28 feet it looked like from the water, I think is maybe what you were meaning, Mr. Cleland?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and then just the 25 feet from the road, roughly 20 and 12 on either side.
Yep.
So, okay. And that's good. So, yeah, I think I saw that post in there, and then pretty much a deck, and then the cabin, if anything, is moving back. So that's good to see. All right.
You're moving back farther than what it has been? Is that what I'm getting?
Yeah. We're completely behind and up the hill from where the original one was.
Okay.
Right.
Right here where my hand is, excuse me, Madam Chair.
Yeah.
Right
please.
here where my hand is, that's where the edge of the original cabin is right now, or was. And that's pretty much will be the start of where the new deck will be. Be right in that area.
And then again, higher elevation, which is also good. So, okay. Pretty straightforward. Any other questions for the applicants from the board? Okay. All right. So we'll close our discussion, and then Richard, will you please go over the findings of facts on this one?
These will be our standard findings, and I'll read the first page and read the highlighted areas after that. Brookings County zoning variance 2019 BAR 011, an application for a variance having been filed with the Brookings County Zoning Commission, acting as a Brookings County Board of Adjustment, a copy of the application being attached here too. Such application being made by Don Cleland regarding the following real property, Lot 49A of the first edition of Lake Poncet Heights, subdivision in Lot 2, Section 5, Township 112 North, Range 52 West, Lakeland Township. After due notice, a public hearing have been held on the application on the first day of October 2019. Number 1. Number 2. Number 3. Number 4. Number 5, the Brookings County Board of Adjustment further determines and conditions this variance upon the following special conditions or safeguards. A, shape and the size of lot. B, first edition of Lake Poncet Heights subdivision was originally platted on September 1st, 1922, prior to the Lake Park zoning regulations. The Brookings County Board of Adjustment, by at least 2/3 vote of its full membership, hereby grants the above petitioner a variance for the above described real property as follows. Build a 28 by 28 foot residence with a 28 by 17 foot 6-inch attached covered deck with a support post to be 28 feet from the highest known watermark. This variance is specifically conditioned upon initial and continued compliance with all conditions and safeguards in 5 above and upon compliance with all applicable provisions of the Brookings County zoning ordinance. If approved, the Brookings County zoning director is authorized to issue any required building permits for construction consistent with the terms of this variance. If this variance is not used within 3 years of the date granted, it shall be invalid, dated this first day of October 2019. Any additions or corrections?
I didn't see any. Anybody else catch anything? All right. Richard, please call for a vote.
Nelson.
Aye.
Kleinjohn.
Aye.
Erickson.
Aye.
Spence.
Aye.
Jensen.
Yes.
Bartley.
Aye.
McHugh.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
And Delanquich.
Aye.
Motion passes. Got some paperwork here in just a second for you, so.
All right, so we will move on here with agenda item number 11, the department reports, or excuse me, agenda item number 9, the department reports.
Yes, ma'am. Number 1, we've got a planning conference on October 16th and 17th here in Brookings. It sounds like it's going to be crop season for most of you, and you won't have time to do anything, but you know, Mother Nature is really tearing us up on this weather. But if you do plan on going, you need to let us know so we can at least get the application in and figure out where we're getting the money from. It'll probably come out of Ray Lynn's salary since she's not here. Next up is FEMA damages. I know I recognize a couple of the board members have already submitted FEMA damages for individual assistance requests. If anyone in your townships know of anyone that has a basement that flooded out from the September 9th until September 26th rain events, they need to call 211 so they can report that data. Doesn't matter where it's at in the county. If the basement flooded between September 9th and September 26th, call 211, get it reported. I have to have all that data turned in by next Monday to appear. We got a deadline of this Thursday at I guess it's Wednesday or Thursday at 5 p.m. Wednesday. Tomorrow at 5 p.m. we're closing that off so Ray Lynn can do all the paperwork on that so we can get that turned in on Monday. Tuesday, the county commission's going to declare an emergency declaration for the county, which will cover all the townships and communities, and we're going to send that in the pier. So this one is different. Obviously, if you got township damages from that same time period, September 9th to 26th, that needs to be turned in too. I know you just did FEMA stuff for the March event. This is a totally different one. We need totally different set of pictures, whole 9 yards for that. And this doesn't necessarily affect the northern townships too much, although I have seen some northern townships, when I say north of US 14. I've got at least one township north of US 14 that turned data in. And if your township took damage between September 9th and 26th, we want that damage too. That falls under public assistance for the townships. and individual assistance for the individuals in the cities. Anyone that's got a house, per se.
Bob, I've got a question for you on that.
Please do.
This is a personal question and one just for any of you that are on that township board. My brother notified me he's working on the March event in his township and noted that they need to go back and get latitude, longitudes of the locations. Are you needing to do that in yours?
Well, they're doing that when they come in on their meetings for the March meeting. If they don't have the long lats, Ray Lynn did a lot of that before we even sent our files.
Okay.
Yeah, we knew about that. And if they're coming in now for the March meetings and don't have it, we set up Google Earth and we get it for them right there on the spot.
That's what I was going to suggest.
And it's Google Earth, Richard, if they asked you. I was using Google Maps. That's hard to get the long lat. Google Earth, you can get the long lat just like that. I did that today. So, but any questions, especially if you're south of US 14, I know you took damages. You can't tell me you didn't. I saw the roads. You know, Madera Township and Oslo Township and Lake Sinai Township and Elkton Township. All those townships south of 14 definitely got nailed. Some of the townships north of 14 got nailed. And if you took damages, that's what we want to report. No guarantees, but it's really looking like we're hoping we get another declaration, especially with Brookings County, because we had 2 towns where their sewer systems failed. And I've got over 150 reports in now, I believe, on basements flooded throughout the county. So, and then next up, I'm going to have Luke Mueller, if you don't mind, Madam Chair, to talk about the joint jurisdiction ordinance.
Hi, Luke Muller here. Just going to point out that for the couple of folks that were involved in the planning process with the joint jurisdiction subcommittee, the joint jurisdiction subcommittee with members, a couple of them from this board, County Commissioner, Mr. Bartley, Leanne Pierce, and staff members, Daryl Nelson, that's right, Daryl Nelson was on it. And then also with similar contingency from the city side, had been meeting for what was going to be a short process, ultimately was about 20 months, and got a draft of a joint jurisdiction ordinance ready for the planning commissions to start reviewing in full. And I'll just kind of tell you the plan on that. Tentatively, I'll be working with staff to try and set up a meeting schedule on it. But basically, the intent is that meeting 1 is basically just going to be handing it off to you, letting you know, generally speaking, here's some of the stuff that's in there, and then laying out the timeline. I'll probably show up to both the city planning commission meeting as well as the county planning commission meetings on that time, and I'm expecting that to probably be December. Initially, we were thinking November, but I think that I could just as well hold it at midnight because there's no way I'm going to get half of you farmers to that meeting to come early for that. So bottom line is that I'm kind of figuring that's going to be a December meeting to go through, just give you a heads up on it, and then we'll start meeting in earnest in January. And the idea is, at this point, the thought is that we would probably try to meet an hour early as far as you're concerned and an hour late as far as the city's concerned, since they meet the same night. Try to have them stop at 6 o'clock, and then we would take from 6 to 7 to discuss whatever the issue of the day is to talk about. The hope is that we can do it in 3 to 4 meetings. Maybe that's ambitious, maybe it's not. But I just kind of want to give you a heads up that strap in and be comfortable for a couple of months after the first of the year.
Thank you, Mr. Mueller. And last but not least, we expect it to be an extremely wet winter. So if your house or anything floods and you have sandbagged within the last 20 years, you might want to get a load of sand now while it's cheap and get a bunch of sandbags because you're going to need them in the springtime. If you got a road that goes under, start making your plans now because it's going to go under. It just I haven't seen it. Of course, some of you have been here much longer than I have, but all indications from whether it's the National Weather Service or Farmers Almanac, there you go. It all shows it's not going to be a nice winter. Let's hope they're all wrong and that it stays 70 degrees all winter, but something tells me it won't. And that's all I got, Madam Chair. Richard, do you have anything to add?
No, I do not. Oh,
That-
just next month, I guess, the meeting will change to 7 PM, so.
For what date?
From November to April. The meetings will be at 7 PM.
I do have a question, Mr. Mueller, for the Joint Jurisdictional Committee the packet, I guess. So we're gonna get that night. So my question is, do we have some time to study that beforehand and?
Yeah, the idea is basically that, that December meeting would probably be about the time that we would hand it off. And in all reality, we'll probably send it out ahead of time. It's just a matter of finishing up a couple of the last things that were mentioned, but we'd send it out ahead of time. But you're more or less just going to have an introduction of, here's what we've done so far, here's what joint jurisdiction zoning ordinances are, kind of a primer meeting is what it amounts to. And then we'll finish with just the main topics that board spent a lot of time on, not diving into what the results were, but what the issues were that they really spent the most time on discussing. So the bottom line is, no, we're not asking for input the day we hand something to you. At the shortest amount of time I would anticipate you're going to have to review it is the month of December, the entire month of December before we start looking at it. And the idea is, again, at that meeting, we'll lay out a schedule of, okay, the January meeting, we are going to talk about the Ag District, or this specific component of the Ag District. Or honestly, I expect that first meeting in January to be talking about the actual administration of the rule. Who handles it in this area, who handles it in that area. It'll be something like that. So we'll direct you meeting ahead of time to let you know what portion to focus on in between there if you don't want to take the whole thing at once.
And all these meetings, are they gonna be joint meetings with
Yes.
both?
Both planning commissions will sit as one happy family.
Okay, so that's
And
kind of,
it'll be called, it's a work session. On a work session, no official action is decided. It's for discussion, and you're more or less looking for consensus. If somebody's got a strong opinion that no, I'm not going to support that, that'd be a good time to bring that up and see if there's a consensus that something needs to be changed. Otherwise, you're going to wait until an actual motion happens at a recommendation time. But the whole point to doing this ahead of time is, if there's something that this board or the city board feels strongly about that was a complete swing and a miss, we probably better know about it before we go to public hearings, because we don't want to have that argument at a public hearing. We'd rather have that discussion here amongst you.
I guess what I'm going with is, so great, there's gonna be a joint meeting, and then maybe if we wanna discuss it amongst ourselves and then come back with a, this, and this because of this, is that a possibility?
Madam Chair, it's your board.
Right.
What we will do is set up the joint meeting between both of them. And
Okay,
then you will conduct your zoning meeting as you see fit. And if you want to have a discussion at the end of yours, you let us know and we'll put it on the agenda for you.
Mhm.
But this is your board. This is
okay,
not my board.
okay.
Yeah, because what you could
Well, I
do,
say after every single one then.
you could very easily do that where you just add an item at the end of the agenda.
Okay.
At each one, because you have an agenda you approve at it. If there was a issue you feel like you need to discuss as a planning commission at the end, you just punt it to the end of that meeting. And I'm assuming the city will probably do the same thing and put it at the end of their meeting that would follow the next month. And Luke gets to be here a half an hour early and talk about that, but that's fine. That's what I'm here for.
Okay, so just kind of a notice to our board, when that does come out, I feel like we really need to be studying that and making sure that we have some good, concise points. I have a feeling they've been studying this for a while, but,
As soon as we get the complete document, we'll be more
Right.
than happy to send it to you. I don't have the complete document at this time. That's
Okay.
at First District still being
Do any without me?
redone.
would we?
Took your
Is that
place
what-
for-
No,
Did we?
not at that one, but you do any with, did you guys do anything without me?
I think
At
Mr.
the joint?
Nelson-
meetings? Yeah, yep, they've continued on with those. Mr. Davis took your spot there.
Not at the city, not with the city.
Yeah, there were joint meetings with the city planning, with the joint subcommittee that they were held.
Yeah, but not with
Not with our zoning board, no, we've done no more changes with this board.
Yep, you should be all caught up with the county side of things.
didn't do anything like that without me.
Nope, we've
No.
gone through all 3 districts. County side is good from my understanding.
Yep, it's been just the joint subcommittee that has done the meetings and changes there. And we can add, on our future agendas, we'll just add that at the end of the agenda, possible discussion on the joint jurisdictional area.
I'd like to do that. And Mr. Davis, if you ever have any 2 cents, make sure you're vocal as well about it. So appreciate that. Okay. Sounds good to me. Anything else? Departments? No? All right, sounds good. So do I hear an adjournment?
I'll make a motion.
So moved by, yes, a motion. Thank you. And a second by Mr. McHugh. So moved. There we go.